Buenos dias. I am Santiago del Campo, the master blacksmith in this shop. Blacksmith, you know, is a very important person in the community. He's the one who makes things out of iron and steel, you know, the black metals. I first heat the iron until it's glowing hot, and at that point it becomes soft and malleable so that I can hammer it into the shape that I want and make whatever it is that I need to make from the iron. As part of the process, I can also cut it, twist it, punch it, or bend it. Blacksmith's training usually starts at about the age of 10. The young man of that age will be apprenticed to a master blacksmith who will teach him the skills that he needs to know to become a blacksmith. And the apprenticeship can last as long as 10 years. When the master is convinced that the apprentice is qualified to be a blacksmith, he will recommend him to the board of the guild, and he will be tested. If he's successful in his testing, at that point he will become a journeyman. A journeyman is a qualified blacksmith, but he still must work for a master. He's not allowed to operate his own shop. But after 5 to 7 years of working as a journeyman, and when the master thinks that he's qualified, the journeyman will again be recommended to the board of the guild, and he will be tested again. Now, if he's successful in this testing, he will become a master. Now, a master can own or run a shop. A master can also train apprentices. So a master is an entrepreneur. Blacksmith's day starts rather early. The helpers are lighting the fire and getting things ready to go. The journeyman and the apprentices are getting out tools and getting out the iron that they're going to need for the day. The master is making assignments to everyone and making sure that everyone is ready for the day. In a small shop, the master will do a good portion of the work. But in a larger shop, the master may be more of a supervisor. He will spend time instructing his apprentices. He'll be giving instructions to the journeyman as to what they're to do when they finish up a particular project. Now, he is the expert, and he may have to do some of the more difficult work if no one else is capable of it. The journeyman is a fully qualified blacksmith, and he can do most of the work that the master assigns to him. There may be a few items where the master has to get involved and give him some instruction, but for the most part, he can do whatever he's assigned to do. The apprentice starts out actually working as a helper. For most of his first year, he'll be doing a helper's work, but he'll also be listening and watching and learning from the blacksmiths who are working. And as time goes on, he will do less and less helper work and more blacksmithing. He will, to begin with occasionally and later on more frequently, be given instruction. And by the time he is ready for testing to become a journeyman, he has been doing nothing but blacksmith work for some time. The helpers do whatever work does not require the skill of a blacksmith. They light the fires, they put the fires out, they clean the shop up, they shovel the coal, they pump the bellows. They may run messages for the master. And they leave the qualified blacksmiths free to do the actual blacksmithing work. Well, this is helper work. By the way, would you like to be my helper? Come on in here. Well, come on in. Take your position over behind the bellows. The bellows will be your responsibility, and so will the coal. When the fire starts to burn down, you'll have to add coal to it from the coal box and make sure that it keeps going. Whenever there's iron in the fire, you will need to be pumping the bellows so that that fire burns hot enough for the blacksmith to be able to work the iron. All right, you need to add some coal to the fire, so take your shovel, pick up a scoop of coal with it, take that coal over to the forge, set the shovel down on the forge right beside the firebox, closer to the fire. Now turn the shovel over and let that coal spill into the fire. Now I, with my rake, will move any stragglers into the fire. So put your shovel back in the coal box and start to do your duty at the bellows. All right, pump your bellows by pushing on one handle while you pull on the other handle. Time your hands so that you get a continuous flow of air. You've almost got it. Now you've got the timing, you're getting an almost continuous flow of air through the fire, which is the best way to maintain a good hot fire. When I remove the iron from the fire, you can cease the pumping. At one time or another, everyone who lives in the community is going to be a customer of the blacksmith, because we make tools for all of the tradesmen. We make many things that people need. I make things for just about everyone in the community. For the housewife, I make scissors, I make cooking forks and ladles and long-handled cooking spoon. And for her to tend her fire, I make the fire rake and the shovel. And since we frequently eat soups and stews, I make the trivet, which is used to place a pot over coals to cook with. We would put the trivet next to the fire, not over the fire. We pick the pot up with the ingredients in it, set it on the trivet, and use the shovel and the rake to place coals underneath the pot. We can add coals and we can also remove coals to control the temperature of our cooking. I make for the farmers and gardens hoes and picks and shovels, and of course for the farmers I make the plow points. For the homeowner or the home builder, I will make nails, I'll make hinges for the windows and doors, I'll make the brackets to hold a bar to lock these shutters. I'll make lanterns in case a homeowner has to go outside after dark. And of course, sconces to light up the inside of the house. Soldiers need knives and bayonets. Their officers need swords. And their gun crews, or the crews that fire the cannon, need some tools to do their job. Some of those tools are made by the blacksmith. The linstock is one. This linstock will have a piece of treated cord going through here and the glowing end of it sticking out here. When it's time to fire the weapon, to fire the cannon, he will first blow on the glowing end to make it burn hot, and then he will stand here like this, ready, and when the command is given to fire, he will reach out and touch the gun off with a linstock. If there is a problem getting some of the residue out of the cannon, because the powder is loaded in a cloth bag, if there's a problem removing that from the gun, this screw is the answer. It will be pushed into the muzzle and all the way down the length of the barrel and twisted like this, and then the debris will be pulled out. And of these tools, 3 of them, the linstock, the screw, and the scoop, have the business end of them made by the blacksmith. Blacksmith also makes parts for the cannon mount. Let's go out and take a look at the cannon and see. This cannon is mounted on a field mount. Now this mount, with its large wheels, is capable of going outside the fort, and it can go anywhere that a team of oxen can go. So it can go through the field with the troops. Now, the mounts are both made of wood, but they are held together with a good bit of iron. Now the 2 sides of the mount are bound by iron pieces on the top and on the bottom to allow us to put through bolts here to hold these various layers of wood together. The wheel has a tire made of iron, because the iron lasts a whole lot longer when we're out in the wilderness on rocky ground than the wood of the wheel would. There is iron right here that the weight of the cannon rests on, and a top piece that holds the cannon in place so that it doesn't fall off of the mount. There's also iron here to hold the axle onto the mount. And there's even iron back here in the rear covering a hole, and that hole is lifted up and set over a post that stands up at the rear of the cart that's used to carry the ammunition and supplies for the gun, so that the oxen pulling the cart will also be pulling the cannon. I also make tools and supplies for a lot of the craftsmen. For the carpenter, I make his saws, his hammers, his chisels. For the wheelwright, I make this traveler. This traveler is a measuring tool for measuring a curved surface like the outside of a wheel. It's rolled along that surface, and the number of rotations is counted, and when it's rolled completely back to the starting point, he knows the length of iron that he has to cut to make a tire. For the friary, we made these door pulls. For the hewer, these log dogs to keep the log that he's standing on in preparation for hewing it from rolling out from under him. They're fastened one end into the log that it's stabilizing, and the other end into the log that log is resting on. For the tanner, flensing tool. He stretches a hide over a smooth log, and then he uses this tool to scrape the last bit of meat and tissue off of the skin before he tamps it. So as you can see, the blacksmith is a very important person in the community. And now that you've spent the day wandering around the village with me, you have a much better idea of what a blacksmith is and what he does. And some of you 10-year-olds out there, I definitely need some apprentices. So speak to your father and have them come and speak to me. Good day.